Good morning, everyone. World Stage 1 and 1 bracket is finished. These were best of ones for matches today. And what happened and how did we do? Well, for the first matchup, TES versus Fnatic, I went with a lovely TES win. And my reasoning was that Fnatic were imposters. And that was incredibly correct, to say the least. Fnatic, they had a good lane swap lead. Again, we still see the trend of LPL teams and lane swaps being really bad. Like this is just it's just not working. I don't know what's happening. Like they never took the time to really practice it on stage, and I guess they didn't either believe it would be a thing because of the nerfs or whatever the case is, but they like specifically TES, BLG, and even Weibo a bit just look terrible in it. They really do. LNG actually looks okay, and I think some of the things they did were also interesting. But these other LPL teams are kind of struggling, which is really bad. And for this game, Fnatic had a lead. Again, someone is trying to dive Cassante in a lane swap situation, and Cassante is essentially the best pick because he has basically the only unstoppable ability this early on in the game that lets him outplay crowd control, which is like extremely important in early dives. You don't usually have the damage to actually kill someone, so you need to actually keep them in place in DPS so you don't take extra damage. And yeah, they failed that. And it looked like Fnatic was going to do all right. Honestly, it looked like they're going to do all right. Now, I'll admit, giving Yon over was very bold. And once again, and I just want to state this, I am definitely anti-Smolder. Even though we still see it, I am anti-Smolder. I've been like this the entire time. I think it could be picked now and then, but for the priority that it has, I don't know if people just saw Chovy win on it, and that's why suddenly has a huge resurgence. But whatever the case is, it has to change. And teams that are still going into this, it looks like Fnatic is like behind their thinking on how things should be. And they were never a good smaller team anyways, and now they're losing on it. But that's not really why they lost. They lost because they kept making plays that were just really poorly timed. And what I mean by poorly timed, I mean that look at the map in this case. They had what? They made a play top that was netted them to kill 369, right? We killed him. Cool. It's kind of hard to do grubs because we spent that time killing him instead of just like having a normal prep or anything. Okay. We made the big one for me, at least, like outside of just that, was the 14-minute mark. I believe it's the 14-minute mark or something like that. Maybe it was a little bit earlier, like 12:40 or something. They got JackeyLove's flash and cleanse, and they have really good pull on mid. Like in this game, they should be fishing through mid a lot because the sides are not really that easy, and then move from mid into the side. And then you can keep pulling on their AD and making them pressured, which then will in return make TES go mid and match you and try to help them out. That's how they should have played. But they said screw going through mid. They like never did this. And they only went through side. Guess who's good at going through side? TES. And even though Fnatic were getting kills inside, and like I said, this 14-minute mark, they got both sums. They made a play top, they got a kill. They want to play bot, they got a kill. They used both TPs when it was unnecessary to kill JackeyLove with no flash in top lane at one point. And each time they did this, it was still a 2-1 lane control advantage for TES. Like, the entire time, TES had control of 2 lanes, Fnatic had 1 lane. And so when, like, you're in these situations, you're just steadily losing. Like, you might be able to offset some of the, like, initiative, some of the control that TES has briefly. But if you keep just making these Hail Mary plays every single time, it's just, they're just bashing their heads in a wall and they just progressively lost gold each time. And then it just kept happening until they finally lost. And so Fnatic basically destroyed themselves. Like, that was crazy. I could not believe, I mean, actually, I could believe that Fnatic would do something like this. And it looks really dumb. It looks really bad by them. It looks like they just don't know what to do. They have no consequence of their actions. And funny enough, this actually happened in the BLG series versus T1. I think BLG. I had BLG. Oh, the way I do this. So I had BLG as my victory, right? So I got 1 point here. This one I got wrong. I had BLG over T1. This one I was like the least confident about because I wasn't exactly sure how both these teams would go about it. I think BLG's draft was just okay. Okay, it was just an okay draft. However, in this series or in this game, BLG was doing the same stuff that that Fnatic was doing, but not nearly as bad. But they were still doing it, and you can't really afford to do it against a team like T1, where they were over committing side plays. Like they did 2 top lane plays in the laning phase that were just really bad. Like the timing didn't make sense. Like you just took grubs, and then you're looking to dive. I think it was a Gnar on his mega timer. Oh no. He was on his mega timer, but they didn't have mid control. In both situations, they did not have mid. They did not have mid push or something like that. They had someone running back to catch it, right? They had someone running back to catch it, and then they sent 3 people top to try to like create a play all of a sudden. And T1 just answered each time and just like took it in stride. And then meanwhile, they have someone bot who's like gaining some ground. And I felt like this entire game was basically BLG like trying to overforce situations, and T1 was just like riding along until something like really big opened up to them. That's basically how T1 played it. They were just waiting until something really big opened up to them, right? And like look at the, I think it's like the 19-minute mark or whatever. You know, Bin is pushing bot. They have mid control. They have 3 people mid. They're playing for, I think it was the 3rd dragon or something. And for that 3rd dragon, you know, Ari got really good push top. He's going to base, have Leandri's 2 items, and then come back on the map with TP, and they can fight the dragon. But Bin traded. Bin, like, if this was the map, and then this is like bot lane too, and then there's like the dragon here, right? So they have 3 guys here, kind of getting this along. Then they have Bin. These guys have him. They have 2 people here. Their top laner is still like chilling, right? Like he is like, or like they're already still chilling, right? He's like basing. He's on his base. And so it looks super free. Like everything looks in order. But for whatever the case is, Bin trades hard onto Zeus. It creates a TP situation where this guy felt like he had the TP. So now he didn't get his base in. Okay, so that's really bad. It's now your 2v2 bot. You didn't actually get enough control around mid yet. And T1 kind of just like take over the map because Faker was also on a base. So Faker actually has good conditions off the TP. And then Jax has TP afterwards. And it was just like, why did he have to do that? Like, what told him to do that? And Bin later in this, like in this game, would have like a couple more situations where he's like, Faker is just caught out and he's gonna die because we got a 2-man Poppy R. And then Bin, for some odd reason, is trying to 1v4 versus just help kill Faker and take the free kill and just play on. Like, they keep trying to extend too far out on their plays, and it just ruins things completely. Like, how BLG never gets Herald or Dragon because they committed on a play on Mega Gnar, and it just stops them from getting either, and then T1 gets the collective for free. Like, it's just, like I said, it's just some really goofy shit happening. And then with the whole Baron situation, like if this is the Baron pit, you know, and it's like going out this way, and I think this was the Baron pit that had this in it. We had Jin, and I think they had like maybe their support here. Their top laner was here with, oh no, their support was here. I think this was their top laner. Oh, I should have. Hold on, I'm gonna do this differently. I think this is the one that's like this, I think. Oh, no. Sorry, guys. Yeah, bear with me here. Bear with me. I think this is the one that like has like the corners cut in, right? So their top laner and the support are here. You got this big wall here as well. Their bot laner is here with the top laner, and then their jungle's in the pit, right? T1 has like members like here and here, and then they have members like here and here. And then maybe like someone here or something like that. I can't remember exactly, right? So they had like this setup. Actually, I think it was like 4 people too, by the way, but it's something like this. When Vi jumps over, why did Elk not just flash over the wall and like join the rest of his team, because all of them could run over here super easily, and then everyone gets pulled in deeper, and it's a lot harder to play. But for some odd reason, for the way this happened, he ends up flashing upward, and so now he's farther away from everyone else, so T1's actually able to like chase, and they kill. And then because T1 got the Baron plus several kills, they're able to flip around the... I think they had a really good dragon lead, right? I think they had a really solid dragon lead, and this kind of just snowballed the game and gave them full momentum. And that was purely off BLG. And I think Elk has had a really bad world so far. Like, I think this guy is not nearly playing to his potential, which is pretty rough. Honest, like, just been so-so. Ben has been good. Knight has been good. And, like, Wei is so good, right? But, like, there's just... regardless of the players' like issues, like everyone as a whole needs to really clean up and like just realize like what is this, like where do we need to move, like what do we need to do if they go on us, and this is not happening. So TON won, congrats to them. PSG versus FlyQuest. This is way closer than it needed to be. FlyQuest got a huge advantage from the lane swap, and like I don't know what PSG were thinking. It was super dumb by them, but like there was a huge advantage, but then Whippo killed himself randomly. That made no sense. And then especially the 4v1 dive by PSG in top lane where they killed Whippo. And then unfortunately for FlyQuest, they were trying to play 2 lanes. So they were trying to dive a Meganar with Leona Ari. Or not Ari, Leona Cassio. And then Ivern and Kaiser were hitting mid. But the problem with that is that you can't do anything bot. So like Busio should have went mid. So if they had 3 people on mid, anyone that TP's there is dead because Leo's there, right? So you would take the mid turret, and then you would do nothing bot, and that's okay. It's a trade. Cool, whatever. We got the mid turret, it's a trade. It's not the end of the world. But instead, they're doing a 2-2 part, right? And Ivern gets caught under the turret, dies, and then 2 more people die. So 4 people die when you're literally on the farthest part of the map in a 1v4. That was such a terrible play. And if PSG were able to navigate it from that point, FlyQuest would have lost. And I had FlyQuest to win, but they would have lost if PSG were actually better about it. But fortunately for us, and I will say, I don't think what Whippo did initially was actually that smart. Like, he ran in, and it looked like an int. I mean, there was no CDs on Woody. It looked like an int. Especially if Ozzy like just jumps away, like further away from the situation, and like sure, Rel probably would die, right? But then Whippo would lose full conditions, so nothing really happens. But like both Vi and Rel die. Whippo lives, they take Baron, full momentum, and then Whippo just does the same thing where he's just throwing his body like super hard. Like he's literally 1v5 in the enemy's face over and over again, and PSG has no idea what to do. Like, there was one situation where Beppo literally flashed, he's fully exposed, and unfortunately enough for him, Jogia, like, he doesn't go in. Like, he literally doesn't put himself in the situation to stop Whippo from, like, still going in. So his 2 carries get fucked, and they lose the fight. And that was it. And this entire time, Masu is just, like, throwing so much damage down. And I think, all in all, like, I think the cast pick was, like, really gambly and, like, kind of whatever. I really don't care for it. I don't know if they chose it because they believe that PSG would not have a correct answer to it, but this is not going to work later on at all. And it further proves that, like, Whippo literally can only perform on Renekton. So if that's the case, like, we're not going to see that again. But congrats to Fly for actually being able to get the Renekton, and they did play a style that is closer to what, you know, I said they would tighten up, right? That was a tightened up situation for them, and with how they did their comps. So, you know, clap, clap, clap. Good job for them, right? For PSG, it sucks, but like for FlyQuest, nice. And then for the last series, I had G2 over Weibo. My reason was just that I'm certain G2 will outmaneuver, play the map better, side lane better, and that's it. And that was partially true, but not actually. It didn't actually go the way I thought it was gonna go, because one, they drafted a Galio Nocturne Ori comp, right? And so he's against Trist and he's against Rumble. Now, if the Rumble does fine, you know, and it was a Maokai. The Maokai was like pretty whatever. But the thing for me was that if this matchup doesn't go that well, you do depend on the Nocturne like to change these situations. But this could have been bad. And then definitely this guy can just be more of a menace on side compared to Ori. Hey, you don't get that side advantage. And now we're playing a different comp than G2 I would typically imagine having. But fortunately for them, BB literally solo kills Breathe in a matchup that should never be solo killable, by the way. But he somehow died to the Galio, and BB had side. So they actually had one side to play on, thanks to BB. So awesome fucking job by him. The Ori build was like pretty terrible. Like it was like negative damage Ori build. Like he went Leandries, Crypt Bloom, which you can't do that. Mostly because your AP is like really low, and you need more. Like you need more AP than that. So that kind of sucked. And you could tell that their damage was a little lacking in situations. But regardless of that, when it came to fights, like Breathe had a bad time. Like this guy did not play well. He's not been playing well. Like yes, he did have a little bit of an like the previous round 2. Like he did have a little uptick in play, but still there were situations I just knew from watching him. I'm like, this guy's not going to do it. He's not going to cut it. So that was true. He had a really bad time, and Hans looked all right. Mickey looked really good. Mickey did a fantastic job in this game. So that was nice to see. And Chris was like, he was okay. But yeah, G2 did in fact find those moments like in Top River where Weibo just took Baron. It looks pretty dire now. Like, oh shit, they have Baron. Like this might not turn out that well. But like Breathe is like fucking around, and then he lost his flash, whatever. And then they're still messing around in the river randomly, and they get punished. And G2 did this thing earlier where they were messing around in the river while Kalista was in bot. So you had 3 members in top, but then Kalista's in bot. They get screwed over, and then G2 do the same thing to them. But obviously, like, to be honest, Weibo had more members around, but I don't know what they're doing. And G2 started getting momentum back, and before you knew it, the game was over. So it was not the easiest of wins for G2 in the end of the day, especially against a team that they should just beat. To be honest, they should just literally beat Weibo. So hopefully that gets better, because so far, like these wins, like none of it felt too convincing to tell me that any of these teams are like real contenders still. Like right now, the list of contenders on the list still is the teams that already won, LNG and Genji. Like these are the teams that just seem like they have like the better ideas on what's going on and what's happening. And you know, HLE could get here if they they fix their drafts and shit like that. But right now, like these are the 2 teams that just are clearly above the rest. They just are. Like once like HLE, BLG, like TES in some ways. And I guess you're waiting for T1 as well at this point. Like you're kind of like waiting for these teams to see what happens. Like G2, like I don't know, like I can't really see them as contenders on how they're playing right now. I still need to see more. But like these are the teams that have shown signs that they could maybe jump up if they fix some shit. But right now, like from what I saw with T1, like they just beat a BLG team who just like don't know what the hell they're doing. Like TES beat a Fnatic team that don't know what the hell they're doing. Fly beat PSG because they did a play PSG did not expect. They reacted poorly to it, and then they kind of just won off having better scaling, and then just went off from there. G2 beat Weibo off they did outmaneuver them. And so this does give some signs of like, oh shit, okay, that was actually pretty good what you guys did there. But it's still not enough. And for now, we need to see what happens in round 4. Like with a lot of these, like with these teams going into the next set to basically compete for a world spot or for a quarter spot, I want to know like that. I think that will help me decide on how it all shapes up in the end. And did they? I actually don't know. Did they already release who the new matchups are? I guess they haven't. Or perhaps it's on. Nope. Interesting. So they're gonna wait. Okay. I guess we don't get to see it then yet. Because these teams are 0-2 each. So no, because we see these teams too in that pool. Oh no, I guess they didn't want to show it yet. But yeah, guys, that's my recap for today. Tomorrow is the series for all these teams that, well, I mean, it's probably not the most exciting. Like, I don't think this series is exciting at all. I think this definitely could be close. And this is where I said Gam would win. So hopefully that turns out interesting enough. But I don't know how much I'm going to watch of it in the end of the day because it's kind of like low-level series. But yeah, let's see what happens. You know, it's been a fun Worlds. It was a pretty... this was definitely a lower quality day of games compared to round 2. And compared to round 2. But we'll see. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.